F Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here's your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
As I was walking down the street
152.79. Are you kidding me? 152.79. You heard me correct. If you're not aware of what that number is, that's the final score. Last night, FedEx Forum, your jawless Memphis Grizzlies over two key players missing on Oak City. That has to have something to do with it. But 152.79. So, folks, that is a 73-point margin of victory. The biggest margin of victory in the history, 75 years, we know that now, in the history of the National Basketball Association was 68. That became the biggest win differential in the history of the NBA. Other things that are phenomenal about this. 78-point lead. Think about it. Oak City scored a total of 79. They almost had more points at one time as a lead than the opposition had as a whole game. I've never seen that before. You'll never see this again either. 93 bench points. 93 bench points. Santi Aldama had a double-double with 18 and 10. Do you know what his plus-minus was? Plus 52. I can guarantee you he can play 25 years in the NBA. He will never have a plus 52. Ever again.
Never say never, Dave.
Jarrett Culver, who's probably the last guy on the roster, is that a fair thing to say?
Down there. How about that?
He had 11 points last night. Here's something else you'll never see. 9 guys in double figures. 53-26 on the boards. 16 steals. 16. How about this? You scored 152 points. You'd have to think, oh, yeah, they must have gone to the line a lot. They only went to the line 18 times. Out of 152, only 13 came from the free throw line. This stuff you can't make up. They led wire to wire, and that's the third time in a row. And we'll have to ask Pete Pranica. He's going to join us in 5 minutes. I think I heard his cohort, Rob Fisher, say that's the first time in history that a team has won wire to wire 3 times in a row in the history of the league. I don't know if that is 100% sure or not. That is pretty amazing stuff. It was an interesting night for Memphis. One mention of the NFL. We got to get in the locks because we got Pete Pranica at 10:10, Jason Munz on tomorrow and Ole Miss. That will come your way at 10:25 or in that neighborhood. And then we end our Fridays always with our friend Andy Schiffman on the National Basketball Association. Last night, Tony Pollard, in a game that was close at the time, in the Mercedes Dome, in New Orleans, 58-yard run. Little pitch, sweeps the left side, blows by. There was one really good block. I think it was by a receiver. And then forget it. There's one guy with a bit of an angle. You can't catch the kid from Melrose. Tony Pollard. All the way into the end zone. That really kind of was the turning point in the game. And the Cowboys, who needed the win, got the win. So I was thinking about this. Here's Pollard, Melrose High School. Here's Gibson. Here's Henderson. Here's Gainwell. All 4 of those guys playing or starting, playing a lot in the National Football League. I think Pollard is actually the better running back now in Dallas than Ezekiel Elliott. Part of that is because Elliott's not 100%. He's hurt. But Pollard is the guy at the moment. 4 Tigers. Those were the good old days when you had all these running backs in Memphis.
It's running back you, Dave.
I just wish there was one of those guys still around because there clearly is not. And how about Memphis getting a bad break here? So ESPN wants to add another bowl because they lost a couple pre-COVID. So they end up adding a 40-second bowl. I didn't know you could add bowls like 2 weeks before bowl season, but that's what they're doing. That meant you had to have 84 teams. 42 times 2, 84, right?
That's right.
Okay. This is just awful for Memphis. So that means you got to get one extra team that was under 500. And Hawaii always has this deal. They get to play 13 games. So they're 6-7. That's the best of the 7 lost teams.
How do you play?
They get to get into their own bowl, which means Memphis has to play a road game.
Tough.
Against Hawaii.
Across the pond.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But that's the way it worked. So we'll talk more about that as that game gets closer. That'll be on Christmas Eve night in Honolulu. In the meantime, we do this every week. We do our locks of the week. I'm trying to catch Jay Morgan. I'm going to extend this thing until I catch him, that is for sure. And so we're going to alternate our picks as we always do.
Sounds good.
All right. I'm going all college, even though that's my Achilles heel. I've been good in the NFL, but I have all year the rest of the way to go NFL or basketball, whatever I end up doing. But I go all college this week, okay? I'm going to start with Georgia and Alabama. I think Georgia is for real. I know there's a lot of people think it's Nick. He's the best. He's going to figure it out. He's had a few weeks. He's going to do a Belichick. He's going to take something away. This defense of Georgia might be the best we've seen in the last 15 or 20 years. They've got an offensive line. They got a good enough quarterback. They haven't lost yet. They're not going to lose this game, and it's only 5.5. I'm giving away 5.5. It started at 4.5. Some people had seen it up at 6. I saw it today at 5.5. That's what I'm grabbing it at. 5.5. I'm giving them away. I like Georgia.
A ton of fluctuation in that game going. It could be Nick Saban, like you said. That'll be a good one, though. I like your pick. I'm going to go to the NFL. The Buccaneers at the Falcons. This is a divisional game, Dave. And I always say divisional games, you got to throw the records out. Records don't matter in divisional games. They get wonky. The Falcons, plus 11 at home against the Buccaneers. I'm going to take Arthur Smith, son of Fred Smith, and the Falcons, plus 11.
Wow. I didn't see that one coming. Falcons plus how much? 10.5? 11. And that is that in Atlanta?
It's in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's the divisional game at home. I like my odds there.
Okay. I looked at that, I'll be honest with you, because the Bucs haven't been consistent. So
no Antonio Brown now, too.
And no Antonio Brown. And no backup safety either.
Right.
Edwards is out. Can you believe Antonio Brown faked a vax card? That's why he got 3 games. People are going, Aaron Rodgers got 1 game. Aaron Rodgers might have deceived everybody, but he told the NFL he hadn't gotten
Right,
vaxxed.
exactly. That's the difference.
And this guy lied about it. Or these guys, there were 3 of them that lied about it. My second pick, Oklahoma State giving away 4.5 against Baylor. You know, they beat them by 10 the first time they met. Oklahoma State's playing to get into the playoffs. They're going to try to kill them. 4.5 is all I got to give away. Come on, Oklahoma State Cowboys, baby, all the way.
I love that. The great defense, too.
You love all my picks, and they never. They're terrible.
Well, I mean, you could still be on the right side of the pick, even if it loses, though, Dave.
I agree with that, but unfortunately, Vegas
doesn't.
They don't. They don't give you money for. Oh, that's really wise, decision making, but you didn't win.
The Raiders, coming off a huge win last week, they scored 36 points in Dallas. They're at home against the Washington football team. This line started out at -2.5 for the Raiders. It's down to 1. People are betting the football team. I'll take Raiders in basically a pick on -1 at home against Washington.
I didn't see it get down to 1.
Yeah, I saw it this morning. I jumped on it.
Where's that game at?
It's in Las Vegas, Oakland. Las Vegas.
Yeah. So, okay, they're at home, only 1 against the Washington football team. I'm going to tell you that's a dangerous pick.
I know. I'm scared of it.
Washington is starting to really play. I believe it. Antonio Gibson, so tough. And then my final pick, Houston plus 10.5 at Cincinnati. I think the Bearcats are going to win the game. But I'm going to tell you, Houston is scary. I think it's a field goal kind of a game. People don't realize the skill set that they have in Houston. I know it's at Cincinnati, believe me, but I'm just telling you, they got an NFL running back who's a freshman. They got a really good quarterback in Clayton Tune who knows how to make all kinds of decisions and gets the ball in the right place with a strong arm. They got a tight end who's an NFL guy, and he's their number one receiver. And then they got a speedster that's got Calvin Austin kind of speed. I'm telling you, the game will be close. Cincinnati will win. I hope they get into the playoff because if Alabama were to beat Georgia,
Can you imagine?
and maybe Baylor or Oklahoma State just beats up on Baylor, I could see a scenario that I hate. I hope that does not happen. Your final one?
My final pick is the Chargers. They're going to Cincinnati playing the Bengals. I think the Chargers had a tough game last week, and the Bengals won by 30. Everyone thinks, the Bengals are back, Bengals are back, Bengals are back. I'm going to take the Chargers +3 on the road going to Cincinnati.
Okay. You got two dangerous picks there.
I do.
I can make arguments going the other way, but you've been good, so I'm not going to argue totally with you.
Famous last words.
Speaking of good, 152-79, we already have said that. The television voice of the Grizzlies joins us now. Explain to me, Mr. Pranica, you've been around the NBA for, 25, 30 years, whatever it may be. I know you've never seen anything like this because that margin of victory is number one in the history books of the 75-year-old NBA. How did that happen? Good morning.
Good morning. Well, anytime you have a team that is starting to play well, and the Grizzlies certainly are, and look, for the Thunder, it was basically their G League team plus Lou Dort. I mean, that's really what it was, because I pulled into the parking garage 2.5 hours before the game, and I get a text that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is in concussion protocol. They were shorthanded to begin with. No Derek Favors, no Josh Giddey. Knew they were shorthanded going in. And you knew that, it'd probably be a Grizzlies win, but obviously no one could have anticipated what happened last night. I mean, that was just crazy. But again, you had a team that was woefully outgunned, and the Grizzlies are playing really, really well and didn't play down to the level of their competition. They played very, very well on both ends of the floor.
Is it true, because I think your cohort and our friend Rob Fisher made this comment, that's the third straight win in a row where the Grizzlies have led wire to wire. They've never been behind in the game. And he was saying that could be the first time in NBA history that a team has won 3 in a row wire to wire.
It is actually the third time.
Third time.
We were in the midst of the game, and we were very fortunate because Ross Wooden, who is the assistant PR director for the Grizzlies, is also our statistician. He's on the line with Elias. We're checking with Sport Radar. I mean, the second half was basically a research project for a lot of us trying to figure out, because, okay, all these numbers are so crazy. Are we setting records here? And the answer was obviously yes. There have been only 2 other teams, and I don't remember offhand. I'd have to go back and look it up again. But there have only been 2 other teams that have won 3 straight wire to wire.
Incredible. So those 3 straight have come without Ja Morant. Defense has been better in those 3 games. I know this sounds crazy to ask, but no Ja and these 3 dominating performances. Is there a correlation?
I think there's causation, because the guys realized that they couldn't be bystanders and wait for Ja to do something miraculous, which he usually does. And I think that guys finally got to the point, and it happened after, the Minnesota game and going into Utah. It's like, okay, what kind of team do you want to be? Do you want to be a team that is going to be, a walkover, that you don't defend and you don't play hard, you don't compete? And with the exception of the Atlanta game, which I think you almost could put an asterisk by, because that was the game where Ja got hurt and it just took the wind out of everybody's sails. Since then, they've been fantastic. And I look at the change in Jaren Jackson Jr. over the last 3 games. Usually you win a game and, he's kind of laughing and joking in the walk-off interview. Last night he was all business, and you could see even in the third quarter where you're up, 50 points or whatever it was, the guys were locked in. Their body language was, just the same as if it were a close game. Guys were really, really locked in and very, very determined, and they did not let the lopsided score allow them to take their foot off the gas. And so I think this is a team that they're just starting. They're starting to figure it out. I mean, let's not forget this is still the second youngest team in the NBA, and sometimes it takes young teams a while to figure it out.
I heard a television commentator last night say, if this were a high school game, we would say, oh my gosh, unsportsmanlike. Terrible, beating up on these guys. But these guys are pros. That doesn't happen. I guess there were a bunch of people that were aware because they looked up as the game was going on, what's the biggest margin of victory in the history of the NBA. And so they were like yelling and chanting defense when you're up 70-something points. What do you think prompted, seriously, the Grizzlies to keep that pressure on to get this margin of victory?
Well, you've got guys like Jarrett Culver, who's trying to prove himself. Santi Aldama trying to prove himself. John Conchar plays 120 miles an hour regardless of the score. These guys aren't going to – this is an opportunity for them, and Jarrett Culver wants minutes. Is he just going to settle for bad shots? And I think that I think it was Lou Holtz who said, you're complaining about me running up the score? It's your job to stop us. So if Oklahoma City's not going to stop you, and Oklahoma City kept throwing the ball to the guys wearing Beale Street blue, what are you supposed to do? You can't take a knee. You're not going to take a bunch of shot clock violations. These were constructive minutes for guys like Jarrett Culver and Killian Tilly and Xavier Tillman and Santi Aldama. This is their opportunity to shine, and they're not worried about the scoreboard. They're worried about playing well, and that's the right approach to have.
Santi Aldama, first double-double, also a plus 52. Okay, I'm not crazy. That's the truth. Plus 52. Pete, you're still relatively a young man. You'll probably be doing the NBA for another 20 years. Do you think in your career, from here on out, you will ever see a plus 52 again?
Probably not. Probably not. I mean, it really is the perfect storm where Oklahoma City, okay, they really only have, when you talk about Lou Dort is their best player, who is a good player, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. This is a team that the night before was at home. They blew a 15-point lead to a Houston Rockets team that is not very good. They don't have players. They have zero rest. They blew a game the night before. And the Grizzlies are playing really, really, really well. It's perfect storm. And those perfect storms don't come along very, very often. Of course, Grizzlies have been on the other side, too. There was a game a few years ago. San Antonio shot, like 70% from the floor. And, of course, the loss in Charlotte, which was, I don't know, was that like a 60-point margin? I mean, you're around long enough, these things do happen, but they are pretty rare.
All right, off this for just one second, and then we've got to run. But if people don't know, my man Pranica here bleeds green for Notre Dame. Are you stunned for two things? Are you stunned that Brian Kelly this is the first Notre Dame coach in my lifetime, and I go back almost to Frank Leahy here. First time in my lifetime a coach has ever left Notre Dame of his own volition. So are you stunned by that, one? And then two, are you pleased with the Marcus Freeman hiring, which became official this morning?
One, I am somewhat stunned, but the people who I know who are close to the program, they were all saying, well, this is who Brian Kelly is and has been all along. He's in it for Brian Kelly. He's not in it for Notre Dame. He's not in it for anything other than Brian Kelly. So he went and he chased dollars. Look, Notre Dame does not have a good record elevating assistants to the lead job. See Bob Davie, see Charlie Weiss. But the players love Marcus Freeman. He's an outstanding recruiter. He's done a great job with that defense. And because you keep Marcus Freeman, you're keeping Tommy Rees as your offensive coordinator, and a lot of your assistant coaches are staying. They're buying into the program. So I think at least in the short term, it's a really good hire. and we'll see if he can be a good head coach, as good a head coach as he is defensive coordinator.
And the Tommy Rees thing is interesting too. He's only 29. You got a head coach at 35. You've got an OC who's only 29. I mean, woo! They could be around for a long, long time. Of course, if Rees's offenses are great, he'll get a shot as a head coach somewhere. But I actually love that youth for just keeping this thing together for a few years for sure. Pete, as always, we appreciate it. And this is kind of cool. You go to Dallas, and if you win that game, you're actually the division leader. You're right now the number 5 seed in the Western Conference.
Yes, indeed. A lot of basketballs we played, a lot of twists and turns, but hey, it's a good start. If you had said you're going to be, 2 games above 500, 22 win, I think everybody'd sign up for that.
No question. Thank you. Appreciate you coming on with us this morning.
Not a problem. Thanks for having me, Dave.
That is Pete Prenica, the TV voice of your Memphis Grizzlies. He's brought to you by Old Dominick, the proud hometown distillery right in the heart of downtown. That is 305 South Front Street, with a lot of different things. First of all, I got to tell you, they're big partners of the Tigers. They're involved in a lot of, just promoting Memphis, not just the Tigers, but the city of Memphis. And they have a bunch of cool things like distillery tours, curated tastings, craft cocktails. They got a cool bar, elegant, not stuffy, that you can go to at night. And then there's the tour, 45 minutes, total sensory journey. You get the history, the founder, Domenico Canali. You get a close-up view of the real craft of what distilling is all about. And you get it from grain to glass, so you get an education, and then you get a tasting. You can't beat it. All you got to do is go to OldDominick.com. You'll find out about tour availability, bar hours, and the rest. And this portion of the show brought to you by Sheldon Rosengarten. You may see him out there this week at Miramichi or at Galloway. There's numerous courses all around town that you could hear somebody going for. And if you hear it like 2 or 3 times, the odds are it's going to be Sheldon. And why? Because Sheldon spends too much time working to ever get good at golf. You look at his swing, it's not terrible. But he can't groove it because he's always working, devising strategy. And he's got a marketing program that nobody else has. That's why the houses go so quick. He's got shell bucks. He's got it all. So if you're looking to sell your home, Sheldon's going to be the first one to say, talk to 2 or 3 people. Just make sure you talk to me. Then he'll explain to you how if you do it with him, your house will move. Go see what I'm talking about at MemphisRelocate.com and then make that call. 483-0546. 483-0546. You know he'll answer because he's not on the golf course. He's working for you. Back in a minute, we will talk with Munzie, Jason Munz from the Commercial Appeal, on this very, very important game tomorrow. If you think about this, and I'll pose this question to him, is it a must-win? You've got Alabama and Tennessee coming up. Is this, after your loss to Georgia and to Iowa State, is this a must-W? Munz has got the answer in just a minute.
Be sure to follow us at Sports 56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows. Stay up to date with station events and have chances to win prizes from Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
You might not know me, but I'm Zip with the ZipCat construction app.
Why are you collecting leftover construction materials, Zip?
I'm turning it into cash.
That's easy. You can turn leftover materials into cash. Keep it out of dumpsters and help the environment.
That's why they call me Zip, the construction guru. Also, ZipCat app saves you time and money. Lets you describe a job, name your price, and get a job done.
That's smart, Zip. You're amazing.
General contractors, take a few minutes, price a job, and get it done. Download the free ZipCat app in the Apple Store or Google Play. Best tool in your toolbox.
I'm Sheldon Rosengarten with Mark's Bensdorf Realtors, and I have to really congratulate you, Mallory, who is also with Mark's Bensdorf Realtors, for using his hunting skills when it comes to finding homes for his clients.
Thanks, Sheldon. Yes, I get them into their hunting gear by getting them pre-qualified with a local lender. Then we stalk the prey. We go on the hunt into the multiple listing service as well as other internet sites that other hunters, other agents, don't use. And once we find what we're hunting, we make the offer to beat other agents out there in the field.
Hugh, that's all well and good. But what do you do once you get the house?
Well, we can't very well mount it on the wall. But our clients will be living in their dream home while everyone else is still hunting.
Remember, while you Mallory moves Memphis at 497-9756, when you want the job done, call Shell Dunn at memphisrelocate.com or 483-0546. Do it now. memphisrelocate.com or 483-0546.
So this was going to be one of those Central Barbecue spots where I encourage everybody to get ribs for people as stocking stuffers.
But?
Well, I was listening to your show.
Oh, really?
Sure, I listen every day, seething with jealousy. But I heard one of your spots that had the code word big head.
Yeah, that's right.
I always thought you were probably sensitive about the big head thing.
No. I accept that I have a big head.
Huge.
Maybe we should just get back to Central Barbecue.
Well, I'm going to get back to the whole Central Barbecue makes a perfect holiday gift. But seriously, look at that pumpkin.
Let's just...
I mean, that thing could have its own weather system.
Okay, we get it. Let's get back to...
I know. Central Barbecue gift cards are a great stocking stuffer. How the hell do you even buy hats?
I don't.
Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. I'm here at Town Village Audubon Park interviewing a new resident, Carolyn. Share with us why you chose Town Village.
Well, if your parents or special friends need to make that big move, let me share with you my experience. It was tough for me to leave home, but then I discovered Town Village. I would like to highly recommend Town Village to you and your loved ones. After looking at all the amenities and meeting all the people and staff, I was hooked. From restaurant, bistro, 3 meals per day, housekeeping, transportation, security, health care, physical therapy, exercise room, and even a heated pool and spa. Come see us and make your new home at Town Village.
Visit us and call Daniel at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home, Town Village.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Welcome back into the Family Leisure Studios, and a reminder, you want to cash in on this Christmas sale, up to 25% off on arcades, air hockey, foosball. They start at under $150. Pool tables and shuffleboards. They're in stock. They're ready for delivery. There are great deals on hot tubs and saunas. Trampolines, up to 20% off. Come on. Get to I-40 and Whidden Road. See what I'm talking about when I say family and fun come together with all this arcade stuff and all these cool things. You got to get there. And believe me, the delivery schedule is filling up fast. So make sure you reserve your date in time for Christmas. Just get on over to Family Leisure. We are joined now by the excellent Memphis Tiger basketball beat writer for the Commercial Appeal. That is Jason Munz. And Munzie, I ask you this very simple but difficult question right off the bat. Is tomorrow's game against Ole Miss a must-win for the Tigers?
First of all, Dave, I appreciate you for having me on. It's always great to spend some time with you. And I actually wrote about this in my preview for this game. I think it is as close to a must-win game as there is on the schedule right now. That could certainly change, as circumstances dictate that sort of thing. And right now, the circumstances are Memphis is coming off back-to-back losses to Iowa State on a neutral court and a just so far this season very bad Georgia basketball team that was without its second leading scorer and starting point guard Aaron Cook, who's also fourth in the country in assists per game. Even without him, Georgia put up, hung 82 on this Memphis basketball team. So things, and then of course, everything that was said after the game about, the state of the team being in a very bad place. I think this is as close to a must-win game as there is left on the schedule.
I would say this. I'm in agreement with you that for a first week of December basketball game, it's must win for the reasons that you are playing Alabama and then Tennessee on a neutral in the next week. and a half. That makes this pretty dire. If you were to lose this, I mean, you're going to be favored to lose 5 games in a row, and so you really have to pretty much get this particular basketball game. And you mentioned that Georgia team is not a great basketball team. I don't disagree. Sometimes you wonder, they changed the point guard. They were 2-5 with the kid Cook, who, by the way, played at my alma mater, Southern Illinois, for 4 years, and then went to Gonzaga. It didn't work out. He's on his 3rd school, for goodness sake. But the kid that came in had a career high. There were 3 career highs in this game by guys, and that's what's so stunning in my mind about this, is that it was the defense, which has been number 1 in the country defensive efficiency for a long period of time. It was the defense that crumbled against a very average or below average basketball team, while the offense was slightly getting fixed. I have a hard time grasping that.
Yeah, I mean, certainly there are sort of, I guess, under the radar explanations for that. A number of their interior players, DeAndre Williams and Jalen Duren, got into a little bit of foul trouble, and so they weren't necessarily able to defend the same way down the stretch that they normally would. But that doesn't excuse the first 15 minutes of the game when Georgia was thoroughly outplaying the Tigers. I mean, that last 5 minutes of the first half looked like the Tigers were supposed to look like on defense.
Yeah.
That was the reason why they were able to go into halftime with the lead, because of their defense.
You'll notice that the point guard that was starting now, because the other kid couldn't play, he went out. He was not in when that spurt came, and then when he came back in, they had a ball handler, and that changed that whole look too. Yeah,
I mean, so again, there was some foul trouble problems that likely kept Memphis from playing defense the way they would like to have late in that game. But yeah, I mean, it's like the offense did look much better. They scored 79 points. The turnovers were down considerably. The assist numbers were up. The field goal percentage was up. They shot better at the free throw line, for goodness sakes, 14 of 17. You can't ask for much more than that. And then, it just so happened on the same night they couldn't get the defense figured out, and they allowed. You talk about career highs. That freshman that scored 17 points, Christian Wright, was averaging right at like 5 points a game, up until that game, and it just. I mean, not having Malcolm Dandridge, I think, was potentially part of it too. That was an extra body, and Chandler Lawson was another front court guy who could have helped. But it is what it is. It did not look. It was just discouraging because, again, you go into a game thinking, if nothing else, we have our defense. Well, you solve your offensive problems, and your defense kind of disappears.
And you mentioned the after the game comments by Penny, and he was pretty blunt, wondering if his older experienced players that won the NIT, if they really cared about the loss the way that he cared about the loss. I'm guessing those comments were made to try to inspire this team and get it going. What is your take on what you think the ramifications will be from the things that Penny said?
I would be surprised if – I think he knows his team pretty well. And while I do think that's how he feels, I don't think he said to himself, if we lose, then I'm going to kind of take everybody to task, the veterans. I mean, I don't think that he went into that game thinking that way. But I think he knows his team very well. For goodness sakes, he knows Alex Lomax really well. He knows Lester Quinones really, really well. These are guys who've been with him for a long time. So I would be hard pressed to think that if he didn't think that would work, I don't think he would have done it. So I think the odds are pretty good that they're going to respond in a favorable way. That being said, it's a little bit surprising, to have your head coach come out and just be so blunt. And not only that, I started getting text messages because he went and did you guys first. He talked to you first,
right?
And I was getting some text people saying that he was getting going down that road with you, and I thought, okay, well he'll get it out of his system. Maybe he'll calm down. He'll get it off his chest, and he'll feel better, and he won't be quite so frank with us when he comes back to the locker room. But that was not the case. He doubled down and tripled down and quadrupled down on that whole message. And if it doesn't work, then you've got a serious issue. Then things are a lot worse than we even know at this point, because then that means he's starting to lose people.
I would say to you, Penny's really smart. You and I both know that.
Mm.
I don't think this was like a psychological ploy, though. If you saw the devastation in his eyes, he's just being honest. That's how he really feels at that moment when he's saying that stuff. Whatever the ramifications of that may be, that is really what he thought and felt, I think, at that moment. I don't think he was thinking, I got to get Lester and Alo going. I think that's how he felt at that very moment. I mean, he was honest about Bates. He goes, I shouldn't have put Bates in that position to turn the ball over with 44 seconds left and down only one. And that's really the play, I think, that loses the game, personally. And he took the hit on that one. So I guess we'll have to see. This is an interesting matchup, as we say. We're both in agreement. You really pretty well got to win it, at least as much as any game in the first week of December would. And the Ole Miss game, they're 5-2 as well, but they've lost to Marquette and Boise. Those aren't exactly great teams either. Their wins are New Orleans, Charleston Southern, Elon, Mississippi Valley State, and Rider. I mean, they don't have a quality win in there. Memphis does have a quality win over St. Louis. Memphis does have a quality win over Virginia Tech.
No, that's right. It's a little bit when you kind of look at the resume so far this season, and you see what Ole Miss has done and what they haven't done, and you see that they're still ranked in the top 60 in KenPom. That's a little bit surprising. But that's what it is, and you can't. You certainly, if you're Memphis, you cannot look at who they've beaten and who they've lost to and think anything differently. I mean, there's been all this talk about how what makes playing for Memphis so hard under Penny Hardaway is that you're going to get everybody's best shot.
Yeah.
Nobody, especially a team like Georgia, who, they know they're not really playing for much this season. They know that the deck is stacked pretty high against them. So why not sell out and make Memphis your Super Bowl? Maybe Memphis has to start thinking that way. I mean, and I don't know how Penny can change the mindset of an entire team of players, but maybe they ought to start thinking that way when they go to places like Georgia and Ole Miss. That maybe we want to give them our best shot, and if we do, we like our chances. And so hopefully they do that for their sake this weekend tomorrow in Oxford.
I do think that Duran and Bates are feeling pressure that a lot of other teams would not. They come with this pedigree, and they're supposed to perform, and sometimes in the case of Bates, maybe tries to do a little bit too much on occasion. I think, if I'm Memphis, I'm not looking at, as you just said, at what Ole Miss did. I'm thinking about how am I going to get in front of Jarkel Joyner, who's averaging 15.5 points a game? How am I going to stop Nazir Brooks, who leads the team in rebounds with 8 and 8 is what he gets? And think about it on what you've got to do as a team and then individually to help that team and go from there. So you've broken down Ken Poms and everything like that. You do every game, and you sort of go over the matchups, and then you make your prediction. I don't want to steal thunder from your your column, but what's going to happen tomorrow?
Well, I just have a hard time believing that this Memphis team is a bad basketball team. Look, Iowa State had just beaten Xavier. They beat Memphis.
They're a good
soundly.
team. They're going to end up being a good team. I don't think the same at Georgia, but I do think of that at Iowa State.
Yes, that is a good basketball team. And the thing with Georgia, you played well enough offensively to win. Even the best defensive teams in the country are going to have an off night every once in a while. And look, it was the first true road game, and I mean, there may have only been 7,000 people in that gym, but there were times where it sounded like double that. And they were on Amani Bates from the get go. Every time he touched the ball, they were really going after him. So, there may be a pass there, and I'm not trying to make excuses for the team. 2 losses to teams that you should not have lost to. That much is true, I think. But I just have a hard time believing that I feel like they made progress from Iowa State to Georgia. I think this team is moving in the right direction. Maybe behind the scenes, if what Penny's saying is true, maybe behind the scenes they're not. But I saw progress on the court from Iowa State to Georgia, and again, if I know Penny like I think I do, smart guy, knows his team, I think this might rattle some cages in a positive way, and I don't think Ole Miss. I think Memphis wins this game, and it could turn out to be one of the more important games of the season.
No doubt. Jason, always a pleasure chatting with you. I'll see you in Oxford tomorrow, and we're going to have you on a bunch more before this season is done.
All right. Look forward to it. Thanks, Wolo.
Thank you. That is Jason Munz from the Commercial Appeal, brought to you by the Spirit Shop. Weekends here. We got Championship Saturday tomorrow. We got the Tigers, and by the way, I should point out, of course, you can listen to me, but David Kellum will have the call right here on Sports 56 and 98.5. Their broadcast begins at 10:30. So there's plenty of partying that can be. We're in the middle of Hanukkah. We're starting the Christmas parties. You got to stock up. The place to do that is my guy Eddie Connor at the Spirit Shop. That's Poplar and St. Nick, 4848 Poplar to be exact. And if you want to learn about what you're getting, or maybe you've seen people talk about rare birds, you don't know what that's like, go talk. You'll see the different price ranges. I'm telling you, Eddie Connor loves to educate. Everybody in the place loves talking spirits. They love to educate you. Same thing with vodkas. Same thing with tequilas. Go in. You want to learn about what is going to be the next up-and-coming great wine, Cabernet? Talk to Eddie Connor. He'll tell you this one is priced right now here, but it's going to go up because it's a really good product. And he's got some products going back 15 years, and they're all dusty. He keeps the same price tag on. He doesn't go up when that thing has gone up. I mean, it's just terrific, and you'll be amazed. It's that little log cabin you passed by before. You go in, you'll see how much stock is in there. Everything from supplies to accessories to all the beer and all the wine and all the spirits you could possibly want. Go check them out. Poplar and St. Nick, the Spirit Shop. When we come back, we end our week, as always, with Andy Schiffman, our agent in Chicago.
Hey, this is former Tiger Gabe Kuhn. Check out my new show, Sports Time, with Brett Norsworthy. Make sure you join Stats and I every single afternoon from 3 to 6 on Sports 56, 98.5 FM.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus of Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
I'm Brian Elder, 867-0303. Hurricane season is upon us. Is your roof ready? Are your shingles laying down and sealed properly? Call me right now, 867-0303. They say you get what you pay for. That's why my opinion is free. Maybe you've got years of life left in your roof. If so, I'll tell you that. But if I find storm damage or a compromised roof system, I'll lay out some options for you. Don't let them tell you it needs to be replaced if it only needs a repair. Call me, 867-0303. Has your insurance company already seen it and rejected your claim? Maybe they're correct. Most of the time, they're not. They do tend to become more reasonable once I get involved, though. 867-0303. I'll measure your roof from outer space or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again, it's the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
To Chicago and our agent Andy Schiffman in a second. Did you notice your water heater not working well last winter? During the cool winter months, the ground is colder, water requires more really energy to be heated, and sometimes old inefficient tank water heaters just cannot keep up. It's time for new technology, the tankless from Conway that never runs out of hot water. And Conway's making right now the perfect time for you to get the new tankless water heater with 12 months interest free, or they'll pay you $250 for the old tank water heater. Plus, these energy saving models only heat the water you use, so you're saving money on your gas bill every month, and you never have to worry about a tank bursting because there is no tank. Call Conway, 384-3511. I'm telling you, I've got one. You'll love it. The tankless from Conway, 384-3511. Our agent in Chicago, Andy Schiffman, joins us now. So tell the truth. When you saw 152.79, did you do a double take?
Well, Dave, I did a double take the whole pretty much second half, especially the first half, and I think the Thunder scored about, 38 points in the first half. It was pretty remarkable, and the Thunder are a rebuilding team. We all knew they were going to struggle a lot this year, but it is a bit surprising to see the Ja Morant-less Grizzlies just completely demolish the Thunder like that, and they just kept pouring it on, so that was pretty incredible to watch.
You're going to see things there that we'll never see before. 93 bench points?
Yeah. I mean, the last second, third, and fourth quarters, Grizzlies scored 41, 41, and 39 points. That is pretty remarkable. High-octane offense. It was great to see. Great for me, having my guys like Brandon Clark have a really efficient, good game. And then just rookies like Santi Aldama, who a lot of people really don't know much about, comes out off the bench, getting great opportunity, 28 minutes in a game like that, 8 for 16 shooting, double-double, 18 and 10. I thought he played really good. I think he looked really good defensively. And so that's the thing. It's not all about the superstars of the Grizzlies. And if you're Taylor Jenkins and you have a game like this, and I love what he does, and I wish more coaches would do this. In a blowout win like this, throw your young guys, the Xavier Tillmans, Jarrett Culver, Conchar, Killian Tilly, Santi, throw those guys out there the majority of the second half. And, yeah, if it starts to get a little bit closer and tightening up, then maybe you put your rotational players back in. But a game like that not only is great for the team as a whole and their confidence, but it's just great for the maturation and development for these rookies and these young guys on the Grizzlies bench.
Well, and that's probably the reason that it just kept getting bigger and bigger, the lead, because you had all these guys that are going, man, we never get to play. And they played as hard as they could to make an impression.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Santi, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, Jarrett Culver, who's near the bottom of the bench there, he wants to prove that he's an NBA player. Same thing for Santi. And the thing about Santi, the one stat you didn't give, which I don't think I'll ever see again in my lifetime.
Yeah, plus 52.
I know. I mean, if you've never seen that before.
It was the highest plus minus in franchise history, and I think someone told me it was the third overall highest plus minus in NBA history. But that's pretty incredible.
What's the highest? I'd love to know what that is.
That's a good question.
Because I don't think I've ever seen more than a plus 30 before. Plus 52. Yeah. Wow. I mean, that stuff is amazing. Of course, there's amazing stuff going on all over the place. I mean, let's talk for a second about Phoenix. They won their 18th in a row. So the longest win streak in the history of the NBA. We know this because I used to, when I was watching the Bulls in the mid-'90s, I was always thinking, there's a chance maybe they can get that 33-game winning streak of the 71-72 Lakers. Golden State had a 28-game winning streak, 2 different seasons, which is pretty amazing. So even the Bulls in the early 90s, the great 95-96 team that won 72 games, that's the most of any team in any single season, their longest winning streak was 18.
Yep. No, the Suns are the real deal. I mean, they started off this season, they lost 3 out of their first 4 games, and they have not looked back, and they have not lost since then. And it is pretty incredible. And I've watched that Golden State game the other night, Tuesday, which was a great game, and I thought Golden State actually was going to – it's silly to say it's an upset, but I thought the Warriors were going to win, and they ended up losing by 8 in that one. So, man, it is incredible to see. You think back to the bubble 2 seasons ago. Phoenix turned it on then, and they really looked good with Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton, and kind of started – you could start to see then – what could be in Phoenix in the next couple of years. And now we're seeing it. Now we're seeing it all come to fruition. And what they've done over the last year and a half has been pretty incredible. And they're not slowing up. They play at Golden State tonight, so that's going to be another blockbuster game to watch. I'm excited. Man, look out. If they win this one, I'll tell you. I mean,
they're not going to win this one because Curry was limited to 12 when they beat him last week. Yeah. The Golden State Warriors are going to come back, I think, in a big way.
It'll be
asking ye shall receive, because we got Jay Morgan Harder as our producer here. Luke Mbamute in 2017 for the Rockets has the highest plus-minus in the history of the game. It is a plus 57. There's no way in the world that I would have ever thought Mbamute would be the guy that would have that. Who did they beat that night?
The Nuggets.
My gosh.
Wow.
4 years ago. Man.
Hey, keeping it international. I like it.
My gosh. Yeah. Well, I remember when the Tigers played Mbamute when he was with UCLA.
Yep.
Killed him.
And he's been he's had a heck of an NBA career, and
he has
in his younger days, and he was starting out in the league. I mean, he was a really proficient offensive player, and so you know how some of these teams are. Maybe you had the Nuggets back then, when they were akin to the Thunder last night in where they are in terms of status of the franchise, rebuilding, just playing kind of younger developmental guys, and just teams pounce all over it.
Back to the Grizzlies for a second. You realize that if they win against Dallas, that's tomorrow, right? They play in Dallas, that they will actually be atop that division. And they're already at this moment just 2 games over 500, but they're already in the 5th seed spot. And they're doing this without Ja, which is incredible. We had Pete Pranica on a little bit earlier. He thinks the team is playing better, in particular defensively, because they know they have to pick it up without Ja.
Well, that's exactly a great point that Pete brought. That's what I was going to say. You see this quite a bit when a team's leader goes down with an injury like this that keeps him out for an extended period of time. You know, these good teams and these well-coached teams, they rally together. There are no egos. These guys don't look at it as I have to step up now because it's my time to shine. They look at it as I have to step up now to help my team and pick us all up, and we have to buy into what it takes to win in a Grizzlies uniform while Ja's out. And I think it's a credit to the leader that Ja is, because, look, I honestly don't think the Grizzlies would be having some success while Ja is out. Now, albeit it's a win in Toronto. Even though Toronto beat him at home last week, it's a win in Toronto. It's a win at home against OKC. You're not out there beating Phoenix or Brooklyn or Golden State, but nonetheless, they're wins when your leader's out. So my point is, and you see it on the court, how much these guys love and respect Ja and how they all get along. And they want to rally for him. They want to go to war for him while he's out. And so it kind of brings everybody that much more together in times like this to play that much harder. And you've seen that from time to time.
Yeah. Well,
From time to time,
it'll
excuse me.
definitely be fun to watch. Have a great weekend, my friend. I truly appreciate your coming on. And the game with Golden State and Phoenix is going to be tremendous, too. The numbers, by the way,
Absolutely.
on the NBA are way up. Thank you. Have a great weekend. We'll do it again next Friday.
Thanks, Dave. Take care.
You too. Andy Schiffman from Priority Sports, our agent in Chicago, Illinois. What a week this one has been. Of course, we'll be back on Monday. Usual crew. We'll have championship games to talk about. And, well, we'll have the Dallas and the Memphis basketball game, but we'll also obviously get into the Tigers and Ole Miss. That is, as we said, a must-win game. As much as any first early part of December game on the regular season can be, but that will be eye-opening in Oxford tomorrow. Thanks to Andy and Jason and Pete. Have a great weekend, everybody.
For years.